Hi there everyone, it's Joe and welcome to Kuja's monthly review. This is for June 2017, and there's been lots going on in Final Fantasy TCG over the past month, with lots of cards kind of jumping up in value and being more popular, and a fair few jumping down that you might not expect through tournaments and everything. And as I said, there's been lots going on. We've had the release of the Type 0 and Final Fantasy 9 starter decks, we've had loads and loads of tournaments coming up, and all of the stuff that I'll be talking about is using a lot of those tournaments as reference for why I've chosen some of these cards to be on these lists. And soon we'll be having Opus 3 come out, so stay tuned if you want to hear more about the cards that are in vogue and the cards that have fallen off. So the first list that we're going to talk about is the cards that are on the rise recently, and the first card on that list is X-Death. Now, X-Death has been becoming more popular, certainly in the wake of the UK Nationals that I was lucky enough to attend to, and I did actually have kind of some video stuff planned, but because I am that useless with a GoPro, I kind of messed it up. So, unfortunately, I won't be able to show any of the footage from that because you can't hear anybody in it. Anyways, the tournament was won by a Lightning Ice deck that featured X-Death as well as two mannequins, namely Capricious Reaper and Fleeting Flash. Now, X-Death is just a really strong value unit, so he's been becoming more popular recently, and having looked at some of the tournaments, they've shown that he's just becoming more popular and that, you know, it might be a card that people want to look into. You know, X-Death also has the decency of being a lightning forward that's actually high in power, of which there aren't many, so it's definitely a card that's going to be good going forward as well, especially if more mannequins get released, so definitely keep an eye out for this guy. And then the second card on this list is something that's been very, very kind of hot topic recently, particularly on the Facebook pages, and that's the Emperor. Now, I made a video a little while back, my first card of the week video, in fact, was on the Emperor, and I'll leave a link to that in the description box below if you want to watch it. And the Emperor's just kind of been floating around as a one or two of in a lot of decks, like a really wide variety of them. People just kind of seem to be able to throw him in anything. And, you know, while I think there are other options to him, I do still think that Cloud and Warrior of Light are very good, and there's still a lot of variety being played. The Emperor is certainly getting played a lot more now than he was before. And then the third card on this list is one of the cards from the Final Fantasy 9 starter deck, and that's Vivi. Now, Vivi is probably the best burn spell we've had in Under Fire for, you know, other than maybe Bahamut, for, you know, since the beginning of the game. But Vivi isn't a burn spell, he's a forward, and that's what makes him quite so good. If anyone remembers from Magic the Gathering a card called Seal of Fire that was released years and years and years ago, that card saw a lot of play at the time because of the ability to kind of play now, use later. That kind of mentality, and he's just kind of a living threat to any 8k or less guy that your opponent can play. So it makes sense that Vivi's getting a lot of play because he's just really good. And then the fourth card on this list is actually Chaos. Now, Cosmos, and this includes Cosmos as well as Chaos, and the reason for that is that a lot of people are starting to play 3-color decks. Now, I kind of featured that I would be playing a Chaos in my Knights of the Round deck, which I posted a couple of weeks ago, and again I will leave a link in the description box for that. But I'm not the person that kind of created that deck, and you know, in Japan in particular, a lot of people are running 3-color decks. I've noticed decks like Golbez. This is the Opus 2 Golbez getting played a lot, where they'll run the Archfiends, but they won't run an awful lot of cards to go with it, except for a Chaos or Cosmos, so they can play them if they have to. And there's just very, very interesting ways of using this card, so hopefully in the future there'll be even more, and we have stuff to look forward to from Opus 3 as well. And then the last card on this list is Zidane. Now, Zidane's kind of jumping in people's decks because he's just a value card. Again, I made a card of the week video on Zidane. He's very, very good, and there's a reason I make videos on some of these cards. It obviously sounds like I'm just going, oh hey, I made a video on this guy, you should, you know, this guy's obviously good. But no, it's actually a response trigger to kind of the fact that these cards are getting played that I make these videos. So definitely kind of keep an eye out on these 5 cards for the next month and see where it goes, because they're definitely seeing a lot of play and they're probably going to see a lot more. Okay, so now we're going to go into the falling cards of this month, and a lot of these are actually very, very surprising. And the first one of these is actually Aerith. Now, there was a time when I said that Aerith was probably the best card in the game. I probably would like to retract that statement now, simply because she doesn't actually do an awful lot unless you have another copy of Aerith. What she can do is very, very powerful, and she is an absolute staple to anyone who's wanting to run Tidus or anything like that, where you kind of need to make sure that they are protected before you go in on your opponent. However, Aerith is just kind of, she's just there to kind of get you to 5 backups quicker, and a lot of people at the moment are trying to play backups that kind of destroy themselves so that you can keep playing more and you kind of keep a cycle going of that, you know, that kind of regard. So Aerith has been definitely seeing a lot less play, particularly in Japan. Even in Windwater decks, she's seeing a lot less play. And then the second card on this list is Hekaton Kaya. Now, Hecaton Kaya was pretty much only around to destroy cards that people were having problems with, like Minwu. But seeing as, like, and we'll get to this in a bit, Minwu isn't seeing nearly as much play as he used to. Neither is Hecaton Kaya, because backups, you kind of want to have 4 backups on the board. Like, you know, destroying a backup doesn't impact the game nearly as much as destroying a forward does. So, you know, Sephiroth never really saw that much play to begin with, although I do still think he's quite good. Archer still sees some play, mainly just because it's something that can destroy itself and you can replace it later, but Hecaton Kaya, while it's still seeing play, is certainly not a staple in every Earth deck anymore. And then the third card on this list is Warrior of Light. Now, Warrior of Light was on the rise last month because Cloud was on the decline. Now, Warrior of Light is now on the decline because Emperor and Zidane are kind of taking over for him. And that's not to say that Warrior of Light is bad. He's not. He's still really, really good, as is Cloud. However, with the options of Light and Dark forwards widening, it means that a lot of these cards are going to see a lot less play than they previously did. So it kind of makes sense that Warrior of Light would be on this list. And then the next card down is a card that I'm upset with, but I kind of understand it, is Varn. Varn was kind of, it's probably my fault actually, I hyped Varn up quite a lot when Opus 2 came out, but he kind of just didn't really perform as well as I would have liked him to, which is unfortunate. But, you know, he's still a solid card and there's still a lot of potential for him in the future, but unfortunately right now he is kind of lackluster, with his only real combo pieces being either Jill Nabart from set 1, which last month I kind of already stated that Dulling and freezing forwards doesn't really do all that much right now, purely because there's a lot of things that reactivate themselves, and a lot of people are playing things like Sylph and Fairy, and Black Mage, which is Lightning, which I do really like as a combo because you can persistently make the guy smaller each turn, but it goes to say that Varn just isn't seeing as much play as I would like him to. And then the last card on the falling list is probably one that no one saw coming, is Minwu. Now, Minwu was, at one point, I even had to make a video making a deck that just was specifically specifically built to kill this guy. My words, my god. And a lot of people were complaining, and I wasn't the only person that made videos on asking on kind of ways to counter this card. Loads of water decks are getting played recently, and you know, in the most recent Japanese tournament there were 2 water decks in the top 4, neither one of which ran a single copy of Minwu, which is quite shocking. But I think that the reason for that is that the meta has shifted from damaging forwards, things like Alcid and Onion Knight, while they're still seeing a lot of play. There's a lot more focus on just outright removal, stuff like the Odins, Lightning, Cyclops, Cuckoo Lane, Leviathan. It's just all about just straight removal, so it makes sense that Minwu probably is seeing less play in order to make room for things like 5-drop Yuna, or cheaper backups that you can kind of just slam out and get to 5 as quickly as you can. And while it's still a very, very good card, and I'm sure it will come back in the future, this month it's definitely not as popular as it once was. Okay, so that's it for all of the card reviews, but I do want to take a quick moment to kind of mention Barnes Final Fantasy Corner and Six Sages Gaming, and well, FFTCG Mognet at the very least, because those guys work very, very hard to kind of bring you guys content and kind of make sure that you guys have a lot of different kind of resources to be able to build decks with, or to see what other people are playing. I actually got a lot of my information from those two when it came to analysing what was being played and what wasn't, so I would definitely encourage you guys to check out the pages that I will leave in the description box so that you can go and look at those. If there were a single item that I would recommend that players go out and buy or anything for the coming month, I would recommend that you buy, if nothing else, the Final Fantasy IX starter deck. Now, there's a lot of good cards in this deck that are going to get a lot of play over time, and I've already highlighted 2 of them today, being Zidane and Vivi. My card of the week this last few days was Steiner, who was in this deck, and there's a massively good engine in there that just keeps drawing card advantage. Garnet in this deck is good, Artemisian is very, very good. If you were to invest in any one product to do with Final Fantasy's trading card game right now, I would recommend the Final Fantasy IX starter deck. There's going to be tons of stuff in Opus 3 that supports it, just go out and get one. So that's all for this video, and you've got plenty to look forward to this week even. I've got a new drawing video coming up this week, and I've also got a new card of the week this week coming out, so hopefully you guys can enjoy that. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you can help it, because I obviously appreciate as many subscribers as I can get. I'm hitting close to 4,000 subscribers now, which is huge to me, and if we can just keep pushing for that, just press that little share button and you never know what might happen. So thank you for doing that. I will be streaming also this week as well over on Twitch, so if you want to come and check out my Twitch channel, then I'll leave a link to that in the description box as well. And as I've said in my last couple of videos, definitely get in contact because I love talking to you guys. Thanks again, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.